Hi guys, and welcome to this series on Ethereum mining, how to go about it. And I've split this up into a couple sections, even though I recorded the content in one go, and I'm splitting it up. But basically the first section is going to be called what is it and hardware advice, where I talk about kind of hardware you need to get started. In the second part, I go through options for mining software, how I run them, and I give advice on that. And I go through a couple of live demos of running two different miners, and I give some pros and cons on them. And in the last one, I go into detail on how to be profitable, which is the whole point of mining. Even though it has been a whole lot of fun just trying out, given I enjoy tech stuff, and yeah. But I hope you would enjoy this journey in terms of learning and maybe making a rig of your own, because time is running out with regards to Ethereum. Price is dropping. At least today, it's going down, but it's probably just a downward tick. But with the growing concerns of the DAG file, so I talk about the DAG file. I talk about recent challenges that Ethereum has been having. They also had hard fork, the soft fork, the hard fork, the issue with the DAO. And some hacker almost walking away with some $60 million. So they did a hard fork to basically stop that from happening. And so it's been an interesting history for this new blockchain smart contract based platform. So basically the content that I've prepared is basically stuff I've learned by working on this for the last 2 weeks or so, and I have invested well beyond $2,000 in hardware to get this up and running. So I hope you can appreciate the time I have put in, an effort to make this video series essentially. So all I'm asking for is basically, let me pull up. I don't have, ironically, anything here that's going to do the job to make this large on screen. So I'm going to pull up the most horrid piece of software just to I never really use Word on PC anymore, on Mac or PC. I use Google Drive, but I'm going to make an exception here. And oh my gosh, there we go. How do you make the font size larger? So basically, I'm going to include this bit of text in the what do you call, bottom of the video. So if you look down there, you'll have this as like the first paragraph. So what I'm saying is, it would be great if you can send me beer money for this. I don't care how big or small. Any donation at all will be appreciated. Those who send donations, I will answer your questions. I'm sure you'll have some questions, right? So when you're asking a question in the comments, please mention two things. How you sent your donation, whether it was PayPal, you sent me ETH, or you sent me Bitcoin, right? And you need to send me a reference. So I don't need you to publicly disclose your PayPal email, but there'll be a reference with every PayPal payment. It's like a code basically. Just copy and send me the code. And what is it? For ETH and Bitcoin, you can send me the transaction hash basically. So for those who are wondering what's the transaction hash, here's an example. This is one of my wallets, so you can even send to this wallet. Now I received some funds from Ethermine for mining earlier this day. So if I were to go here, see it says TXT hash. this is a transaction. So all you need to send me is this long snippet, because what I can do then, I can just click on that and I can correlate that you've actually sent me a donation, and I can also see that you've sent it to my wallet, or the other wallet listed in the description. So either wallet is fine. And so let me just put up two things on screen, which would, whoops, sorry about me, technical difficulties. Let me find what I'm looking for. Ethereum, screencast, right? Yeah, here we go. So this is going to be easy for you guys, because smartphones are the rage right now, right? So here you go. This is one, you can use your smartphone and you can either hold it up to this if you want to send either to me. It should be able to recognize this QR code, and it'll plunk it into your wallet or device. So I will leave that up on screen for a moment while I make I'm actually going to move it down here, sorry. Whoops, there we go. While I make one tweak here to my document, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add hold on, I'm going to add the other, what is it called, Ethermine wallet as well to do the same thing. So because you guys might get a bit confused, so either wallet is fine, it doesn't matter. So Ethereum, you can send that. I'll just say or so both wallets are fine. So it's basically going to be that. So I'm going to remove this off screen because it's going to be copied into the videos when I upload them. And just to give you guys, so yeah, so that's if you want to send me Ether. If you want to send me some Bitcoin, I'm going to keep that up on screen. So the way I plan the series is in these three parts. There might be a fourth part at the end. The idea is that it's best if you follow them in order, because during the process of recording, I kind of started jumping around from one point to another across segments. So you will find me referring to stuff in part 1 and 2 in most likely part 3. So if you don't follow the order, you might find yourself end up being a bit confused. So try and go through the thing as a series, right? So I'll try and split them up and keep them as short as possible, but I've ended up talking quite a bit because there's quite a bit of content to go through. So apologies in advance if the episodes are pretty long. I will do my best to upload the content in 4K. It's going to be upsampled 4K, but still it'll look pretty good. So that's the idea. So anyways, thanks again. I do hope you guys don't mind my asking for some kind of donation for doing this work for you guys. Another tip, you can also, I will also include in the doc, email. So for those wanting to reach out to me, I'm going to include this here. So now I'm going to talk about projecting performance for profitable, to basically make a profit, right? So the purpose here is not for me to just buy more GPUs for the fun of it. I'm just going to kind of keep it down here so you guys can see any updates coming in the background. Let's see if this looks good on the camera. It does. Okay. So what I've done is I'm using my crypto buddy. This is a tip thanks to a chap called Belia on the channel. He's really helpful. So he told me to use this one, which is this software here, because it does this real-time live stats and dynamic difficulty thing. So basically it accounts for the difficulty that we are going to face within the next 3 months. So if you just say, okay, 2 months is 90 days, right? that's essentially looking at DAG. So we are epoch 130. So by 150. So this epoch 150 is over here. And then that's going to be epoch, I think, 170 is 4 months. So you can see, like, and it's pretty easy to understand. You can see here in 1 month you're making so much more coin here, whereas now as the line gets flatter and flatter that way, you're making far less ETH per duration of a month, right? Like here is almost, this is pretty much the time span here is a month, and in that month you only made whatever this difference is. So that's 1.98. Let me use a calculator. So it's a 2.58 minus 1.98. So you made like 0.6 ETH there, whereas here, right now, that's in from now, within the next month into the future, right? You are making I'm able to, sorry, at this hashing power, make 1.19 ETH. So if you were to look at it as in terms of a fraction, right? 0.6 divided by 1.19. Yeah, well, we're basically going to be making half the amount of ETH for the same hashing power. So that's pretty crap. That's pretty crap. Yeah, so you can see so therefore it's valuable that I ramp up my rigs now than in the future. So I really should get my additional GPUs added as soon as possible, because, and that's, let me come back, give you guys an overview. So right now my hashing power is 83. Oops, oh, I lost it. But yeah, it's 83. Okay, so we lost that, but don't worry. These, I basically plotted everything into the sheet. So actually, let me try and tweak some settings on camera, because everything on the camera, it looks far too blown out. I'm sorry about that. There you go. Oh my gosh. Serious apologies. The ISO was set up way too high, and now it's going to be far clearer to see all that. So this is my current setup, right? So I'm running at 83 hash rate. This stuff was all provided by the calculator. So I'm going to mark what the calculator provided in another color. Let's use a light red, like thing. So this is what of course this also. So this is what the calculator provided as final computation. But these are figures that I didn't change. These are just provided directly off. Every time I reload this, you'll get different values here. So these are like the live market prices for ETH at that time. So you can see each time I compare these, there were some fluctuations, right? And then this is my estimated power draw, because right now, as I said, I do not have any watt meters. Oh yeah, and my power cost locally is actually around 0.27, 0.26, I think. But I just added like a fudge figure as a buffer, just to safeguard on that front. Actually, give me a second. I just want to see what the temps are like with this thing running. NVIDIA SMI. Right, so still the temps are alright. I mean, nothing's going to blow up just because I changed miners. Oops. Right. And that's another thing to point out. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. The Claymore software, as you saw before, was giving temp stats, and the Claymore software itself as well. Another advantage to it is it has some protection stuff that'll help you from burning down the house. I'm not sure if this thing shows it. It has a really cool benchmark feature. There's so many options. It's actually really, I mean, in terms of what do you call a full-featured miner, it's probably been developed the best from all the ones I've seen. And there we go. It has a restart miner mode. It has a log file, low intensity. here we go. This is one. So this is a pretty cool feature. You can set the target GPU temp, and yeah, it will try not to go beyond that. So that's the safeguard, right? You can say don't fry my GPUs, basically. This lets, so you can, this is like GPU 0, don't fry it when it beyond 70, and GPU 1, so GPU 1, GPU 2, GPU 3. And here's another one, very nice one. You can stop. So that's a nice safeguard. You should also not known issues. GPU index temporary control does not match GPU index. Turn the wrong card. Okay. I can also do fan control stuff. So basically, I'm basically going to gain on the mega hashes, right? Running this one, but I'm losing out on this protection stuff because I'm not always near my mining rig. I mean, if I leave the house or something, and I do leave the house, during that time, no one's watching over the miner. It's going to be mining on its own. So I would actually like to take advantage of the T-stop feature because that, yeah, it's a safety measure, right? So those are the advantages to the Claymore. So let me just go back and just check to see what is there. Yeah, so the dev fee in the end, it doesn't feel like it's undeserving, and also you save on what you call loading up your CPU. So I can actually show you guys what that looks like. Sorry, I'm again digressing. So I'm going to kill that. I'm going to start etched-up here, right? So you can see the CPU activity is going to die down a bit, and then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to start Claymore. I'm actually going to move this back onto the screen so you guys can see my commands. So I'm going to start Claymore. So Claymore is now starting up, and I'm going to let it do its startup process here, and you can see it's initializing CUDA, total cards. Okay, it's figured out it's using version 8. So Claymore has no problem picking up on my V8 config. Yeah, this is where it's setting up the DAG. You can see we're still on epoch 130. I think we should be reaching epoch 131 pretty soon. It's going to be interesting to see what that is going to be like in real term. I only ran benchmarks, so you can see there is a while to go. I think, yeah, a fair while to go there. Okay, so we've gone back to our speed of 60. So now I'm going to go back and we're going to watch it stop. Now you can see here my cores. I mean, none of the cores are at 100%. It's all right having maybe two cores at 13 and 17. That's practically nothing. I can get this machine to do other work if I want to, which is handy. So I'm just going to leave Claymore, and actually I'm going to go back and I'm going to edit my config. I'm going to start only eth-bash, right? So I basically want to guard my cards. So I want to do oh, you can also wow, oh, for annuity cards. Okay, I thought you can do that. There's a T-stop, right? This is just a sanity measure, really, because I would leave the house and it'll be nice to know that there's something is T-stop. Taking care of this is T-stop, and what do I give? Example, blah blah. So yeah, I would say 70. Yeah, 79. He still feels hot. So I would say don't let either card reach 79. So both cards should stay under 79. If any card spikes up to 79, you should also specify non-zero for TT options enabled. or enable TT as, oh sorry, no, T stop. You also specify not for TT option, enable the option TT. What is TT? Set target GPU temperature means you can also specify variable TT default doesn't mean but shows GPU target GPU temperature. Okay, fine. So T stop back. I can do TT 79 and T stop 79. Only temperature must have temperature management. Miner must have root access to manage fans. Only the monitor will be okay. Fine. Let me read through again. If turned off, wrong card, it will close mine in 30 seconds. You can also close mine. So right, as you 95. Okay. Fine. So I'm going to save that, and we're going to run it again. So now you'll see me running it with the safeguards put in place, and ideally we should see the miner operate like it did before. Right, it's loading up the DAG file again. Okay, wow. It feels like the DAG loading is taking longer this time. Right, there we go. Oh wow, it was pretty quick. So it's operating already. Right, it's doing 59 mega hashes a second. So it hasn't given an error. It hasn't crashed out. I'm just gonna watch it for a couple more secs. We'll see what it does. So I'll just leave this running the lower part of the screen. Yeah, it's working. So yeah, you guys are doing 60, 57, and the fan speeds are way low because the AC has kept the room quite cool. Right, so back to the task I was talking about before, how I'm estimating the power. So we will jump over here. So this is my current setup right now. I'm basically assuming 150 watts for CPU, motherboard, RAM, and my current rig has 16 GB RAM. So that's 2 sticks of RAM basically. Oh no, I'm running 32. Sorry, because this is more targeted towards server stuff. So I'm running 4 sticks of RAM. So if you're building a mining rig, you would typically just put 1 stick of 8 gig RAM because you're saving money, right, by only powering 1 stick of RAM. But since my machine is always on anyways and it's multi-purpose, I'm not really factoring the power cost, if you will, for the existing sticks of RAM, because whether I'm mining or not, these two computers run 24/7. The only difference in mining in terms of my estimations is that I'm accounting for the power draw by the graphics cards essentially. So even in this estimation here, I'm making a big mistake here because I really shouldn't put 150 watt. I should just ignore that cost because it's running anyways. It controls part of the Wi-Fi system, the Unify Wi-Fi stuff. It has to run 24/7. So anyways, so whoops, something disconnected there. And just so really I should be looking at a larger profit margin in that sense, right? So the way I've broken it down was, for this line at least, 150 watts to the base. I'm counting 100 watts on, let me move this up so let me show you guys again. So on this box, right, again, oh boy, something is going wrong with my network. I need to restart all this stuff again. Yikes, that's not very good. I'm losing, oh wow, my primary NAS has rebooted itself. That is terrible. What's going on? Wow. Okay, this is like the most unfortunate thing that could happen at any time. It's possible it's doing a software update, but that really shouldn't be the case. But we'll see. Okay, so back to this picture. So this box here, it's running 24/7. It's running 24/7. So the only cost I'm counting for is the 100 watts that I'm assuming the 1080 is drawing. It's probably drawing even less at 50% power limit, but I threw in 100 there, and I'm assuming 100 watts each for the 1070s. So you have 300, 450, and I'm just putting a buffer for, oh yeah, it's rebooting, so that's something. So there's a huge amount here that I'm counting, that really shouldn't be counted to the sheet. But assuming 550 watts power drawn, right, the cost factor is $110 given my local cost. With this includes a buffer, so I'm going to copy that across here. I'm just going to say including small buffer. And so the monthly profit is $263. It'll probably be around 250-ish. But what's interesting is you can see this adds up to $374.52 something, which is pretty neat, because let me try and find this chart. This says 340. So what's nice is that is somewhat in that ballpark, right? And yeah, it'll be much higher once I factor these other costs as well. So in reality, I think I'll probably be looking at about maybe 300 or more. I mean, we can do a more realistic one. Let's try that. So we're going to punch in 83. We're going to punch in my power, and then we're going to look at this. So we're going to remove the base count. We don't need that. We're going to account for 100 and 200. So we're going to assume I'm only pulling 300 watts. So that's because I'm basically not counting the system power draw, given the fact that I would anyways run those machines 24/7. So by that count, you could say that my mining contribution is only $60, and my mining profit is $300, which is very nice. So that's something to consider. And actually, I can just do below. I can copy the whole thing. What did I say? 300. What's the power cost? 60.48, and the profit is 29. Oh, it's actually real time fluctuating. Nice. So 352. Okay. So roughly something like that. So so my ROI in that sense is much lower than this figure. So I can just go here and I can remove the base factor. I can make this bold, say that this is like the more realistic figure, right? So I've actually ordered 2 cards to arrive. So not this one. This is going to be the cards I plan to order in end of the month, essentially. So I've ordered, let me see, EVGA 1070 FTW. Whoops, no, 1060. Two 1060 cards. They were a bit pricey, but I picked them simply because these weren't in stock. And even if this was in stock, I mean, this is 1280 CUDA cores. This has less cores. So I stayed away from that because gamers would probably, stay away from this card. And also, this is a 3 GB card. So see, that's a terrible trap with the DAG file. This is the 6 GB card. So I ordered two of these cards. They're arriving by Monday, Tuesday. So my estimated hashing power by then would be 125 watts. 125 mega hashes. And with this way of calculating, I'm looking at about $400 profit. One thing, what's interesting to notice, if you ignore this line 7, right? I'm just going to. What can I? No, I can't. I can make it like that. Okay. What's interesting to notice, even though I'm increasing my cost of ownership, right? You'll also notice that because the hash rate is going up. What do you call the time to ROI, return on the initial investment at least, is almost the same. So technically I could be dumping more money and maybe hashing up to say 200 300 mega hashes a second, make maybe like 11 GPU rig if I wanted to, and I would still be able to make that back in 3 months time, assuming the DAG difficulty doesn't get worse, because that's just still a projection, right? But I tend to be pretty risk averse, so even this is pretty big risk for me. I would never risk anything of this magnitude. But yeah, so when these cards, so these two cards arrive, I'll be hashing at about 125, and I saw this, which is interesting because all the 1070s now are priced well beyond $450, and they say more on the way. So it's slightly slower given the smaller factor of the card. I mean, it's very marginally slower than a normal card. Discontinue. Okay, let's look at this. So this is a gaming. Okay, Armor 8. What is this? Yes, this is 1556, 1746, right? Yeah, 1531. So it's a couple, like, it's peanuts in terms of the clock speeds there. Very small. It's amazing that they've got so much cooling going on it's so much smaller as well, right? So this PCB technically is far more dense than the other PCB, and so you can see that it's got a serious cooler there with the heat pipes and all that. That is pretty wicked. You can just imagine how much more dense this circuit board is. But when you have a larger space, you can play around with traces and stuff. And so if I were to add 2 of these cards as well, I can then bump up my hashing rate to 185, and then without doing the readjustment, I'm looking at around a profit of $700 a month. So let's play around with this column. It will be interesting to see what this column looks like. So I'm going to just basically remove the 150 from there. So we make this 700, right? And to do that, I need to recompute the whole thing. So we're going to go 185, and we're going to do 700. So you can see my power cost factor is 14112, and my profit is 66618. Yeah. Well, 666. That's interesting. How did that change? Well, I would have assumed a larger. So it is 850, right? Oh, the price of ETH has dropped. That's why it has crashed to around 305. Wow. So earlier we were looking at 323, right? So 323. I'm stopping live stats basically. I'm dropping it to 700. Yeah, so we were looking at about 715. So about $15 more than this one. So it's about 715. Yeah, about 715. So let's make this one bold. So this is probably more realistic one. So you can see the time to ROI is adapting accordingly there. So 400, 500. Wait, something is off here. Oh, and then this will be another 200. Another 200 watt. So that is 600, 700. Yeah. So I got the previous one wrong. Yeah, okay. So 200 watt. There we go.